Larry, a muscular tabby cat, flexed his claws, his amber eyes wide with alarm. His friend Jerry, a sleek black cat with a white chest, paced anxiously. The White House, usually gleaming under the morning sun, had vanished. In its place was nothing but empty ground. "Where did it go?" Larry rumbled, his voice deep and powerful. He scratched his ear with a hind leg, his brow furrowed in confusion. It was so big, how could it just disappear? Jerry, the bravest of the three musketeer cats, hissed under his breath. "Something is terribly wrong," he muttered, his tail twitching nervously. "We have to find answers. I just don't know what to do." Sam, a majestic bald eagle and their closest ally, had been investigating strange occurrences around the White House for weeks. He had warned them about hushed whispers and shadowy figures, but no one had listened. Now, it seemed, the worst had happened. "We have to find Terry too," Jerry meowed, his voice filled with urgency, both disappointed while looking for clues about what had happened to the White House. Panic flooded the streets of Washington, D.C. People scurried around in confusion, their voices a cacophony of fear and disbelief. News crews swarmed the area, cameras flashing, trying to capture the impossible. The White House, a symbol of American democracy, was gone. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some whispered of alien abductions, others of government conspiracies. Amidst the chaos, a new narrative began to take hold, one that chilled Jerry to the bone. The animals were being blamed. It started subtly at first, accusatory glances from humans, murmurs of unnatural influence and animalistic magic. Then came the blatant accusations fueled by fear and suspicion. The animals, they claimed, had orchestrated the disappearance of the White House. Jerry and Larry found themselves surrounded by a mob of angry humans, their faces contorted with fear and rage. Fingers pointed and shouts of traitors and monsters filled the air. The humans even burned down Sam's treehouse, killing hundreds of innocent animals with their rage. Inside the van, crammed between boxes of Zach's belongings, Jerry and Larry caught their breath. Boris, a massive polar bear with surprising gentleness, grunted in concern, his warm fur brushing against Larry. Sally, a feisty chihuahua with a bark bigger than her bite, whimpered nervously, burrowing into Boris's side. "What happened?" Zach asked, his voice trembling slightly as he navigated the chaotic streets, sirens wailing in the distance. "We still haven't heard or seen Terry or Sam. The next thing is that Sam's treehouse is gone and everyone's blaming the animals." "We don't know," Jerry admitted, his voice heavy with worry, "but we have to find Sam and Terry. They're the only ones who can help us clear our names and figure out what's going on." Zach nodded grimly, his hooves gripping the steering wheel tightly. "I'm with you," he said, his voice firm despite the fear in his eyes. "We're a team, and we'll figure this out together." As they sped away from the chaos of Washington, D.C., leaving behind the only friend they had ever known, a sense of uncertainty settled over them. Days turned into nights as they drove, the landscape blurring into a tapestry of highways and small towns. Zach, a skilled driver despite his size, navigated the roads with ease, his focus unwavering. Inside the van, the mood was a mixture of anxiety and determination. They searched tirelessly for any sign of Terry and Sam, following every lead, every whisper, every rumor. They checked his usual haunts, contacted his network of informants, and even ventured into the darker corners of the internet hoping for a clue. But Terry, it seemed, had vanished without a trace. Where could he be? Larry fretted, his tail thrashing nervously. He's probably scared out of his wits, it only being him and Sam out there. "Don't worry, Larry," Jerry reassured him, placing a comforting paw on his friend's shoulder. "Terry's resourceful. They probably found a safe place to hide and is already working on a plan." Just when their hope began to dwindle, a breakthrough arrived in the form of a crumpled postcard slipped under the windshield wiper of Zach's van. It was a picture of the CN Tower in Toronto, Canada, with a single word scrawled on the back, "Mice." Jerry's eyes widened as he recognized the handwriting. It was from the three blind mice, but what did it mean? Why would they send them to Toronto? And what did they have to do with any of this? Then, it hit him. Months ago, during a mission in Niagara Falls, they had crossed paths with a peculiar Trio 3 blind mice, who possessed an uncanny ability to see the unseen, sensing vibrations and energy that others couldn't. Could they be the key to finding Sam, Terry, and unraveling the mystery of the vanishing White House? "Zach, change of plans," Jerry announced, his voice filled with a renewed sense of purpose. "We're going north to Toronto. We need to find 3 very special mice." The journey to Toronto was long and arduous, the miles marked by endless highways and the occasional rest stop. They traveled mostly at night, avoiding the curious gazes of humans and the ever-present threat of capture. Inside the van, a sense of camaraderie grew, forged in the crucible of shared danger and uncertainty. Larry, despite his worry for Terry, kept their spirits high with his infectious laughter and boisterous stories. Boris, a gentle giant with a heart of gold, provided comfort and warmth, his presence a calming influence on the others. Sally, small but mighty, kept a watchful eye on their surroundings, her sharp senses alert for any sign of danger. Jerry, however, couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at him. The postcard from the mice, while a beacon of hope, also raised more questions than answers. What had the mice stumbled upon? Why were they so important? And what had happened to Terry and Sam? After what felt like an eternity, they reached the outskirts of Toronto, the CN Tower piercing the sky like a giant needle. Following the mice's cryptic instructions, they navigated the bustling city streets, finally arriving at a secluded park nestled in the heart of the urban sprawl. The park was quiet, deserted at this late hour. A sense of anticipation hung heavy in the air as Jerry led the way, his senses on high alert. They found the mice huddled beneath a sprawling oak tree, their tiny bodies barely visible in the dim moonlight. But before Jerry could utter a word, a chilling realization washed over him. The city around them, the familiar landmarks, the distant sounds of traffic were fading, dissolving into an eerie silence. The park, the trees, the very ground beneath their paws, were disappearing, swallowed by an encroaching emptiness. "What's happening?" Larry cried out, his voice filled with fear. "Where are we going?" Jerry didn't have an answer. All Jerry knew was everything in Washington was now gone. All the people, buildings, and even trees were gone, and now it seems to be spreading.